Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir, your digital classroom. Today we are going to be discussing a very important topic that's not directly linked to your academics at this point in time, but even then, actually, it has a very deep correlation, and that's to do with the kind of pressures that you are facing at this point in time when you are just less than a month before the board exams. Just to give you some data, in the year 2018, India reported more than 10,000 student suicides. Of that, one fourth, that's one in every four students who killed themselves, took the extreme step, was due to academic reasons. In fact, the data of that particular period around 2016 said there were 26 student suicides every day in the country. That works to more than one every hour. What is really the reason for something like this? Why is this time of the year, before the board exams and thereafter in the month of May when the results are about to come, why does it see a peak in student suicides? With me is Miss Tinky Bharadwaj, who's a senior volunteer here at this Befriending center called Roshni. It's 22-year-old organization. Ms. Bharadwaj, these statistics are very alarming. And at this point in time, when there are a large number of students who are perhaps not able to cope with the pressure of board exams, वैसे ही board exams को लेके एक हवा मचा रहता है देश में, स्टूडेंट्स का प्रेशर रहता है, पीयर ग्रुप का प्रेशर रहता है, पेरेंट्स का बहुत प्रेशर रहता है, स्कूल और टीचर्स का प्रेशर रहता है. Your center here, we have the phone numbers out here. They have 21 centers through the country.
We have about 17 centers.
17 centers across the country. So सब जगह पे फोन कॉल्स आते हैं. तो पहले ये बताइए कि किस तरह के फोन कॉल्स आपको इस समय पर आते हैं from students about academic issues.
So we get calls from all ages. Students के इस time ज़्यादा इसलिए आते हैं because of their exam pressure. So एक वजह तो ये है that they are not prepared. And it's the first time the board exam, we all know when our first board exam was there is so much fear created around it. A lot of people, a lot of students are very highly motivated, they are competitive, they need to do the best because this is a stepping stone to the next step. And they want that I must get into the best university. Sometimes it's not just them. The parents put pressure, the school puts pressure. There is also the competition with their peers and they want to stand out. And it's not a bad thing having big ambitions, it's not a bad thing, but the important thing is we all should have realistic goals, realistic expectations of ourselves. And parents must have realistic expectations from their children. They all know.
So what are the kind of phone calls that you're getting? How many phone calls? For instance, we are in the month of January. How many phone calls would you have got, say, in the last 10 days?
So if you talk about students, we've got about 37 calls in the last 10 days from students. And a lot of those were to do with the examination fear. I'm scared. What if I forget? What if I can't remember? I'm not prepared. I can't fail. How will I face my parents? These are the doubts, the anxieties, the concerns that students have.
How much time does each such call to one of your volunteers, how much time does it take? You call yourself a befriending center. So how long does this befriending session, if I may call it, last?
So just to clarify, befriending is like we are here to listen to you, to understand what you are going through, to understand your feelings. We are not rushing in to tell you to do this or that or give you advice or solutions. You must be getting that from your parents and teachers and peers. We are here to understand how you are coping, who is supporting you, and we do not have a defined time limit that, okay, sorry, 15 minutes are up. You can talk to us for as long as is necessary. You can talk to us about any problem. You can talk to us about more than one problem. So we've had students who've spoken to us for 10, 15 minutes. We've also had students talking to us for more than an hour. And many, many years ago, we had one student who was appearing, preparing for the board exam, and you will not believe this, but she spoke to a volunteer at Roshni for almost 5 hours.
Now, the impression that most people watching this would be getting is that the maximum calls you would be getting, Roshni would be getting, would be from students who are not able to cope with the academics, that they are not I mean, I don't like to use the phrase very bright academically. Is it necessary the case, or even students who are, say, topper material, top of the class, even they are not able to cope with the expectations, the burden of expectations at this point in time?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It has nothing to do that just because someone gets less than 50 or 60% that they would call us. We get a lot of people who are at the top of their class, lot of students who are at the top of their class, and sometimes they have always been toppers, so it's like taken for granted, look, I am a topper. And what happens when they go into the higher institutions of learning, they are now in a class where everybody is a topper. So then the competition at that time gets really tough and they are unable to cope because, see, in their mind is, I cannot be less than this. But we must understand that your self-worth does not rest on the marks that you get. Every human being is a worthy individual. You are a worthy individual whether you get 50, 60, 90 or 99%. The thing is, you need to give your best effort. If you have given your best effort and prepared well, then you are at peace with yourself. You cannot control how others are performing. You can control how you are performing. And in performance, you know, there are so many factors. So there is, first of all, understanding a subject, learning a subject, then memorizing it, then recalling it, and then finally performing.
So the toppers, you mentioned about the toppers. So is it, as I said, the burden of expectations that there is, for instance, there would be students who would have topped their school all through the year or for successive years, and then when board exams comes, the school wants to earn a good name. It puts pressure कि देखो तुमको अच्छा करना है, school का नाम रोशन करना है. You need to do well. You should be the city topper or you should be the state topper. Does that also kind of play a part?
That can play a part, but you know, every individual is different. So some strive on stress, some strive on being pushed. They need that push, they need to prove themselves. Others like working hard, they want to give their best, but the minute you put pressure and they feel stressed, they cannot cope with it. So it all depends on each individual and, you know, the kind of person, how they think, how they interpret and perceive and view things.
I'm keen to know, I mean, what exactly would you tell? I mean, for instance, if there are students who say that I'm not able to cope, syllabus बहुत ज़्यादा है, time सिर्फ कम है, 20 दिन है, 25 दिन है, I don't have the time to do it, I will be a failure, you know, all that kind of thing. You can probably tell them that you can plan it out in such a way, I can agree. But are there extreme cases where they also tell you that they are feeling suicidal? Because then it would become a slightly more, you know, dangerous kind of a case.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right. They do, some of them do mention that, you know, I'm just not able to concentrate because I'm worrying so much about, one, how will I perform? Secondly, if I fail or get below 90, what will my parents say? I can't face them, so it is better not to live. Now, the thing I would like to mention here is suicide is not a wish to die, it is a cry for help. When someone says, I can't live anymore, what they really mean is, I can't go on living with the way things are right now. If things were different, then I would be fine. So, okay, that's all right. That is the point where you don't need to cope alone. You need to reach out for help. How many of us may have spoken about this, that, you know, I don't want to live. We talk to friends or family, and the first reaction we get is, don't be silly. What's your problem? You have everything going for you. This is not the response that you would get at Roshni. For us, your feelings are extremely important, and we would try to understand what makes you feel that life is not worth living.
So a lot of this is also to do with the home atmosphere, with the pressure and the expectations of the parents. So if a student reaches out to you for help, do you also follow it up with interacting with the parents or maybe even the school management?
we would not make any calls to anyone. So if a student calls us and says, look, can't you talk to my parents and explain to them? Then we would say, would you like them to call us? If they are around, are they open to talking to us? We would be very happy to talk to them. If they are not there right now, they could call us later and talk to us, and we would definitely. But this is firstly a confidential. It's a free service and it's confidential. So if your parents do call and they say, look, my son spoke to you, my daughter spoke to you, what did they say? You don't believe them, I'm telling you the truth. Whatever they may say, we will never disclose what you have told us. Similarly, if your parent calls and speaks to us and then you say, what did they tell you? We would not disclose what your parents have told us. So whoever tells us anything is kept totally confidential within Roshni.
But when students call, is it with the knowledge of the parents, or in most cases the parents don't know that they are making this kind of a distress call?
So sometimes they see our ad, they Google. A lot of times we get calls because they've seen Roshni's name on Google, and very often parents are concerned about the children. So the parents call and tell us that, my son, I think I'm going to make him call you. So parents tell us that our son or daughter is going to call, or they call on their own. It all depends. There's nothing.
Of course, is the time when the exams are about to start. Things would probably get a little more serious just before the exam results are going to be announced, or after the exam results are announced. We saw the unfortunate tragedy in Telangana last year when 25 students of intermediate, because of some evaluation errors or whatever, they had failed in some subject or the other, 25 students committing suicide. That was very tragic. How do you deal with pressures at that time when somebody calls you and says that, I think I'm going to fail, I can't face my parents, they had spent so much for me, they had so many expectations? Would that template of befriending be different from what you're doing right now?
So definitely our focus would again be on what are the thoughts in their mind, what are their feelings, and what is it about failure that upsets them and frightens them so much. So we would ask that, is this the first time that you are in a situation where you think you may fail? You've reached this age of 16 or 17, and have there ever been instances in your life when perhaps you didn't do as well as you wanted, or perhaps you didn't do well at all, or perhaps you never got selected for something? So was that the end of the world for you? So definitely when they call us, they find no reason to live, and we try and help them to find just one reason to live. And very often, we don't tell them, but very often by talking to us, they feel much lighter, they get so much more clarity. And of course, they themselves often say that, at this point I'm feeling that way, but then when I think about my family, would they be more disappointed if I was to fail, or would they be more hurt and upset and sad if I was to just go away forever? So they themselves then take a call and they take their own decisions. We never take decisions for anyone who calls us.
So at this stage, ma'am, last word, and I would probably want you to say that in Hindi. What would you tell the students out there who are listening to you right now, and the parents as well?
So मैं तो यही कहूँगी कि life is not perfect. Challenges होते हैं, मुसीबतें होती हैं, परेशानियाँ होती हैं. There are obstacles in our life, and all of us face them. The measure of you as a person is not कि ये देखो problem हो गया है, या देखो ये मैं कैसे करूँ. The thing is that you are able to face it and do the best that you can at that point of time. So many things happen in our lives, some good, some bad. It is how we look at that. What are the things we tell ourselves? Do I tell myself I'm no good? Do I tell myself I'm useless, I'm worthless, there is no hope, I'm helpless? The fact is that all of us have a lot of strength, and sometimes when we feel कि मैं ना अकेले, तो इसके साथ मैं क्या करूं, समझ ही नहीं आ रही, कन्फ्यूजन है, डाउट है. नेचुरली जब मुसीबतें होती हम सबको घबराहट हो जाती है, डर लगने लगता है, फिक्र होने लगता है. ऐसे समय पे हम लोग करेक्ट डिसीजंस नहीं ले पाते, which is why it is important to reach out for help. I would say you do not have to cope alone. It is okay to reach out for help.
Are there any specific calls that you could recall which kind of illustrate the very seriousness of whatever emotion, disturbed emotion that the caller would be going through at that point in time?
Oh, yes, there are a lot of calls, and the most important thing about this, suicidal feelings, they rise and then they fade away, and then they come up again and then they fade away. So, at the point when they are peaking, at that point, if the person or the student takes help, then it will help them to move on. It's not that they'll just get stuck there. So, one instance that comes to my mind is about a student who was forced into a line of study which was not of their interest, and was also alone at home with no emotional support. So I think at some point the feeling was that what kind of life is this, and was ready that, okay, I think today is the day, nobody is at home, today is the day that I will finally end this pain that I am going through. And as it so happened, Roshni helpline numbers were being screened on television, and so we got a call, and this caller spoke about the pain of being alone, of studying something that they didn't really want to study. And we carried on, and the plan was that as soon as our call ends, then I'm going to end my life. And I have already decided how I'm going to do it. And we kept talking, I kept talking.
It's pretty serious, right?
That was very serious. It was so disturbing because I really didn't know that in what way can I just help the caller to postpone the decision. There's nothing, I can't reach out, I can't go there, they won't tell us where they are. And as we kept talking, one thing that came up was that, everyone has aspirations in their life. So did this caller have any aspirations? And that one thing made the caller think and decide that, look, at this point, I'm unhappy. At this point, I feel life is not worth living. But I have so many aspirations and hopes and dreams and so many things to fulfill. Why would I want to give up on that? And the caller decided that I'm definitely going to live. I'm definitely going to, it's only a matter of time. I'm going to do my best. And then...
So the call changed her entire...
Completely. And in fact, the caller called back again after some time to say that, look, I'm fine and I am going to live to fulfill my dreams, and I'm so happy that I could speak to Roshni, because otherwise I may not be here today.
I think it's very important at this point in time when students are giving their exams that at least, in fact, better if both parents are with the students, or at least one parent should be there, because parents I think focus largely on the diet, कि बच्चे ने खाया या नहीं खाया, क्या खाया, whether it's a right diet. They don't focus so much on the mental well-being of the student. They focus only on the physical health.
I think mental health is extremely important. It is part of the whole thing. Physical is not everything. And for parents, I would like to say, keep your lines of communication open. Listen to your children. Understand what they are trying to tell you. We tend to look only at the behavior, but remember, every behavior is to answer a particular need of the child. Now in adolescence, the needs are need for belonging, for acceptance, for independence. The behavior may be dysfunctional. So help your child to find healthy ways of meeting their needs. Be available for your children. Not when it fits into your timetable. Be available when they want you. That is the most important thing.
Yes, I think that those are very important words that you have spoken, because this is the time when parents need to be for their children, and this is just a problem that they are facing of not being able to cope with the academic pressure and expectations and everything. So as ma'am said, the helpline numbers are open. They are there in every city. You just need to Google. You can speak to a volunteer in your particular city if you are indeed facing any issue at that point in time, because at the end of the day, you cannot make it a matter of life and death. This is just another exam. You'll face many exams through your life. This definitely cannot be a matter of life and death. So we do hope that you will take lessons from whatever ma'am has said through this discussion. Thank you very much for watching.